Hey everybody, welcome to Dad's Den of Pop Culture. The Protectors, second live-action TV series done by Gerry Anderson after UFO. Ran from 72 to 74, 52 episodes into series, because in Britain they call them series and not seasons. You know, they also call apartments flat. No, I won't get into that. An action thriller type show. I just finished watching it for the second time. Figured I'd throw some thoughts out there on this one. Let's jump into it. And today we're going to be actually looking at images from the second episode, because I initially thought I was grabbing images from the first episode and then realized I was wrong when I was about halfway through. So I decided, well, the second episode's good too, so we'll just go with that. So we begin at an aeropuerto, because this is the early 70s, and we're jet setting, and we're European and sophisticated and cool, and that's what you did back in the day. Think about James Bond, etc., globe trotting, exotic locales, and they do a lot of that in The Protectors. They did do some filming in Europe, so you get a lot of outdoor stuff, you know, on location, obviously, as well as, you know, stuff done in studios, but very cool in that regard. Now, of course, the Protectors, the team that we see, would be headquartered in London. So at any rate, this is the first time that we're going to meet Harry Rule, played by Robert Vaughn, well known for Man from U.N.C.L.E., showed up in the late episodes of the A-Team. He plays Harry Rule, who is sort of, he seems like he's maybe was an agent, you know, a secret agent for probably the U.S. government at some point. Maybe he did a little mercenary work. Hard to say exactly, but he's a man of action. He's a man of action. And apparently, Robert Vaughn did not like this series. And to be honest with it, he seems like he was kind of a jerk about it. But he did not consider The Protectors up to the high American standards for a TV show or for a movie, you know, like, say, Teenage Caveman or something. At any rate, he meets this man in the airport who ushers him into a storage closet where he is quickly attacked by a goon. But he bounces back from the attack and, you know, knocks a few people out, knocks a few heads around. And so the little weaselly dude back there decides, oh yes, this is definitely Harry Rule. We have the right man. And now, sir, you're coming with me. So every episode would begin with a little opening sequence before we jump into the theme song. And this is a good one. It gives you an idea of what you're going to expect. There's going to be action. There's going to maybe be some fighting, some gunplay, etc. So, bouncing into the theme. This is a sort of rare Gerry Anderson production that is not scored by Barry Gray, but in this case by John Cameron, who also was involved in a really cool version of Led Zeppelin's Whole Lotta Love, that frankly I'd been looking for a while and couldn't figure out who did it. And then while I was doing the research for this show, I figured it out. So that was really cool. Little Kids, Big Ben, Houses of Parliament. And so we get but it is a very cool theme song. I always say, like, the hardest thing for any Gerry Anderson series is to live up to how cool the opening is. And you do get some kind of little insights into the characters rather than doing episodes where we're learning about their past, like, you know, in a kind of a boring origin story way. They often use these kind of themes to do exactly that. So we see Harry Rule getting up in the morning. He has this really cool dog that he's, you know, that sleeps in his bed, which, believe it or not, that tells you something about who this character is. He's cooking breakfast, cooking some eggs, but then we're also seeing clips of crazy action, a car flipping over, you know, helicopters, etc., explosions. He feeds the dog at the table, which again means he's A-okay in my book. I know a lot of people don't like that, but I come from like hillbilly stock. It's what we do. And now we get the official credit, starring Robert Vaughn. He's like putting a gun in his holster, etc. And you can kind of see his apartment back there, kind of eclectic, kind of sophisticated, a little mix of modern and maybe, ancient art, etc. That they used to love that stuff, right? We got Nyree Dawn Porter, who's playing the Contessa, which is funny because I did that Animal Olympics thing like about a week ago, and there was a Contessa in that too. So anyways, yeah, obviously, come on, it's like espionage stuff. You got to have a babe in there somewhere. We get the title. One of these, it's like on these 4 beats of the main theme. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, that's more than 4. Well, at any rate, we get Protectors. We can see her. We're also going to see Tony Anholt, who doesn't show. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I don't think he got the credit in the opening, but we do see him there. And then we get this mystery figure who remains a mystery, never actually shows up in the series. I guess maybe that was for like a 3rd season. I don't know. Okay, so we're into the show. It's a 25-minute long show, which is kind of tricky for these sorts of shows. At a certain point, they start doing more. If you're doing like a mystery kind of thing, you want to usually have like an hour time slot to work in. So you can't do really complex plots. You want to have a little bit of twisting, but it's mostly follow the clues, action. And you even have a little bit of action punctuating throughout. But they do a really good job in the Protectors of smashing it into that 25 minutes and kind of giving you your money's worth. And what we see here is they got the gun on Harry Rule. They want him to empty his pockets. That's him emptying the stuff out. So whoever these people are, like, he's there to meet them, but they're almost treating him like an enemy. All right, so it's kind of an interesting situation. Now we see them walking out of the airport. We get the title of the episode, Brotherhood, with guest artists. They always said guest artists. Vladek Sheybel as Shandor Karolian, Patrick Troughton as Bella Karolian. Yes, Troughton, that would be the Doctor. Screenplay, John Goldsmith, etc. So they're walking out of the airport, and at that point, they'll cut to the Contessa, who has pulled up in a car, and she's sort of acting like she's not, she doesn't know who Harry Rule is. And she appears, gets out, and palming this little object from her purse, she drops it on the ground. Okay. Rule definitely steps on it as he goes past, and you see that it is stuck in the sole of his shoe. He's ushered into this car, and he's warned of dreadful consequences if they are followed, etc. Okay, so he's on some kind of secret mission with some pretty dangerous people, it seems. Elsewhere, Paul is in a van, possibly down by the river, homing in on the device that is now stuck in Harry's shoe. And he's in contact with the Contessa. So, again, you got to think of the time frame. 1972. Walkie-talkies are fundamentally cool. Jumbo jets are cool. Walkie-talkies are cool. Helicopters are cool. You're going to see a lot of things that at that point in time are just plain cool. And they were going to hit for the audience that was watching the show. They were going to work. So the bad guys are apparently driving Harry Rule around sort of like in circles so he can't memorize the route. So he's not supposed to know where they're heading. And they finally arrive at their destination. It's like a secluded mansion. And one of the fun things about shows from, this period or any kind of period, especially with espionage, because of the James Bond model, they like to use this sort of a little, kind of decadent. He knows wine. He has an appreciation of art, and etc. So you get to see what like passes in different periods for sophisticated living, for fancy decor, things like that. And it's also funny since it's old enough that you can remember when that fancy decor becomes sort of, not so fancy like a decade later, and people are like, oh, that looks horrible. Or a decade earlier, like that's the coolest stuff in the whole world. So he is ushered in to this office, get the great guy in the chair. You can't see his face at first. And And here we're going to get filled in on the plot. But there's also this great moment where when they first usher him in through the door, he walks in and he kind of looks behind the door because the last time they ushered him into a room, he got jumped by somebody. So that's kind of funny. So he's going to meet his employer, Bela Karolian, played by Troughton. So he's a Greek billionaire. Again, that was a very trendy thing because of Jackie Onassis Kennedy. And he wants his brother, Shandor, to be broken out of prison. He was placed there on a trumped up sort of false charge. And he's going to give Rule $250,000 to break him out of prison, which would be about $2 million in modern day Monopoly money. Now, Harry at first says, no, I don't do prison breaks. I'm not going to get involved in this. Think about the title of the show, The Protectors, right? Well, okay. I mean, if the guy was really falsely accused, you're sort of protecting him, but really the better thing to do would be to get him out legally, not just break him out of prison. So that's not really what he's there to do. But before he can leave, he hears the plea of a feminine voice, and it is Maria, the billionaire's wife, who pleads that Shandor, her brother-in-law, spent time in Dachau, and, you know, he is a sick man, and if he's not sprung soon, he might die. So, you know, even sort of tough anti-heroes can't say no to a woman in distress. So Harry's in, but he's not happy about it. So for this second episode of The Protectors, we get the prison break plot. Again, you're not going to see unbelievably, you know, you're going to see kind of archetypal situations. It's an action thriller mystery show, right? And if you watch enough of these, you get it. But Gerry Anderson, you know, well, I say Gerry Anderson, but obviously his whole team, they had a pretty good way in the show of coming up with interesting ways to involve people in these plots, you know, and usually a few interesting little twists along the way. I mean, if you ever watch like Thunderbirds, you know that Anderson productions are always very clever, just interesting stuff. Okay, so the prison is on an island. And what follows, the whole plot to get him off of there, involves cunning disguises. That's the Contessa pretending to be a Red Cross official who's inspecting the prison. You get this really cool yellow helicopter. And again, helicopters were just fundamentally awesome back in the day. And, you know, it occurred to me while I was watching this, this little yellow helicopter they're flying to the prison in really reminds me of the G.I. Joe Adventure Team helicopter, and right down to the color. But it also, again, shows you like that's what was really cool for kids, for guys who wanted to, you know, that kind of action stuff on TV. Explosives. They got the explosives in this watch that they're going to use to blow the bars off of his prison cell. She has knockout gas in her cosmetics, you know, that or the guy just, you know, walked up to a perfume counter in the mall. I'm not sure, but I think it was knockout gas. And of course, a little bit of sex appeal never hurts in these kind of endeavors. At least every time I've broken somebody out of prison, I've relied on a little bit of my sex appeal. But there are a couple snags, right? The guard getting gassed was not part of the plan. So that shouldn't have happened. And he's only going to be out for so long. And also the Contessa, who wanted to get out of there very quickly, there's a car waiting for her. Well, this guy's like, oh, no, you please have a glass of wine. That's the warden, basically. Kind of wants to hit on her. So this is the guy we're trying to break out, Shandor. The idea with the Contessa was she was going to go in and interview him about the conditions of the prison, that kind of a thing. So he's now waiting for this bomb to go off. And I thought it was kind of funny that he's looking directly at where the explosion is going to happen. Don't worry, he does actually duck down behind a table before it goes off. Finally, the Contessa makes it to her getaway car just as the guard that she knocked out awakens and manages to hit an alarm. So the alarm is now going off. You never in these things, you never really want the plot to go off perfectly. It relieves too much tension. You want things to be going at least a little bit wrong. So the alarm's going off. The bomb now goes off. The dude leaps out the window and he runs to the chopper. And you can see here where he holds onto the bottom as they take off. The guards are shooting at him. It's your fundamental action from the 1970s. Even if it's not innovative, it is fun. And that's one thing I'll say for this show. Again, like I say, I watch these shows usually on a weekly basis. This was the second time me watching through all these, and it was fun. It was always something I looked forward to. So they managed to get to this yacht, Bella's yacht, that was waiting for them off the coast, and they're drinking to the successful escape and all that. And so everything is fine, except we have 10 minutes left in the show, which means some more stuff is going to go down, maybe even a double cross. So when Shandor discovers that it was his brother who paid for the escape, he says, "You might as well take me back to the prison." And there's our twist, because Bella had him imprisoned in the first place. And if he wants him to get out, it's because he wants to kill him. Because you see, Bella is not just a Greek billionaire. He is a drug dealer, the biggest drug smuggler in all of Europe. And Shandor knows it. And he is one of the few people who does know it and can put him away. So now Harry has to think on his feet. What is he going to do? How is he going to protect this guy from Bella? So Harry calls Bella and says, "Look, I'm kind of aware of what's going on. Once we dock in Barcelona, we're not moving an inch until I get an explanation." Okay. So they arrive in Barcelona, and they're doing exactly that. They're waiting. And along comes some guys in scuba gear. Oh, another thing fundamentally cool in the late 60s and 70s. Again, you get a lot of it in James Bond. Frogmen, scuba diving. It was kind of a new thing for people. You know, a lot of cool stuff was becoming more mass market, and it was kind of romantic. You know, it's stuff that, you know, used to be only the wealthy could do it. Now is a little more available to the middle class. So it was all very cool. So these guys floating up to the yacht, and this is what actually kind of killed me. Because, okay, look, no show is necessarily perfect, but they climb aboard the yacht, and I'm thinking, oh, okay, they got some kind of plan. They literally just like walk into the room. Like, here we are. And we get this melee all of a sudden. You can see Harry in the middle of punching. So Harry and Paul are using their fists. The Contessa grabs a sword off the wall. So does the guy in the scuba outfit, which, okay, look, some people might go, that's really ridiculous and kind of dumb. In my little weird brain, I'm like, that is maybe the greatest thing I've ever seen on television in the last 5 minutes. So she grabs it. She disarms the guy. Utterly insane. And so the thugs are defeated and they're sent back into the water, you know. And the other thing that got me was like, didn't they have, I mean, I guess they couldn't have, you know, revolvers because they were underwater, but like, couldn't they have knives? Couldn't they have like a spear gun? They used all that. Okay. They really didn't show up that prepared. So back in the water, Bella's made his first move. Harry is now going to finish the game. So another call with Bella. He's, and this is where Harry kind of runs his own little twist. He calls him up, says, "We dealt with your men, but I've decided I will turn Shandor over to you for the $250,000. So obviously this is a ruse. They set up a meeting in, I assume this is like an arena for bullfights. So they walk out to the middle of the arena. Got to have this shot anytime you're doing this kind of a, you know, the money for the guy stuff, etc. And what I like though is the money and prisoner exchanged, and Harry looks like he's about to like make his move, and he does this, and the little Weasley guy just crumples onto the ground. It was nice. I enjoyed that. Harry doesn't even touch him. Picks up the money. Okay. Shandor leaves with the bad guys. So we know Harry's got to have something else up his sleeve. Obviously, he's not turning this guy over to a man who's going to kill him. And by the way, remember when cars were distinct enough that they were kind of characters in their own right? Like, you see that car and you kind of know the kind of person who's driving it or who would own it, especially if it's a criminal element. Nowadays, cars kind of look a little bit samey, and I don't know if it has the same impact. But there was a time when cars were characters in their own right. So we're back at Bela's house. The second doctor here confronts his brother. I imagine you know why I brought you here. And yes, to kill him, but it's more subtle because the secret of the Carolian business empire will eventually get out. Bela knows this. So Bela is going to stage his own death using Shandor. You know, body will be burned, etc., that kind of stuff. He then pulls the shotgun out. And by the way, when somebody asks you if you know what a shotgun does to a man's face, you're probably in a bad situation. Somewhere along the line, you've made a misstep, and I'm sorry to tell you, but this is just how it is. So Bela has the gun. He's ready to fire when he gets shot by Harry. Harry was kind of snuck in there and was waiting for him. And upon hearing the shot, though, Maria and these two, you know, the Weasley dude and one of the thugs, run in, and Maria's going, "Oh, Bela has shot himself," really loudly so other servants can hear. But then she notices there's no body. So Bela has been foiled, got shot in the shoulder, so he's not killed. And Maria has given herself away that she's part of it. So the good guys win. Shandor is thankful. And he also, by the way, is going to inherit the business empire and, you know, maybe the drug smuggling. No. The police show up. They're going to deal with the drug smuggling. So, yay, the good guys win. They're, you know, we see them back and we see, you know, Quintessa and Harry hugging, kind of a little humor at the end. They often did that stuff. So there we go. There's a typical kind of episode of the Protectors. Again, some of them very clever, very interesting. There's a really good one with an assassin who's going after Harry. They're like on this train. You know, at a certain point they get off the train, but he's being chased. He's got to figure out a way to survive. There's another one where Harry, I think he kind of comes to and he's in this room, but there's like no exit, no windows, no doors, no nothing. He doesn't know where he is, but I think there's like a voice telling him that he's going to be killed. And the Contessa and Paul have to figure out where he is, put all these clues together. Creative stuff, fun stuff. They're good. They're quick. They keep the pace up. You get action. You get cars, you know, having chases, lots of exotic locales. It's a nice little time capsule of Europe in the early 70s, kind of like Jason King. Fun show. I really enjoyed it. Look, it's not massively innovative. It's not going to probably change your life, but it's a fun time to spend watching TV. And I will say the end credits, again, were Gerry Anderson time. End credits are awesome. This is when they actually play their theme song. And if you aren't ready for it, you might jump out of your seat the first time because it is a guy named Tony Christie. Although I believe, honestly, the first time I heard it, I'm like, is it Tom Jones? Because it's this deep voice. In the avenues and alleyways. It's like this really deep voice going through it. So the credits roll. You see the different colors. There's music composed, directed by John Cameron. Does a great job with it. And then it says right there, theme, avenues and alleyways. Music by Mitch Murray. Lyrics by Peter Callender. Sung by Tony Christie. Fun song. Bum, bum, ba-dum, bum. And it ends with, once again, the mystery person. Who are they? Sadly, we never know. But The Protectors, good entry in British action thriller type shows of the period. I had a fun time watching it. Go check it out. I know you can find it on DVD. You can find it streaming in places as well. Fun show, fun to watch. Give it a look. Let me know in the comments what you think about The Protectors. Do you have any memories of it from back in the day? It did get played in the United States, I believe, in syndication. I think in the UK, it was sponsored by Brut. What's more 70s than being sponsored by Brut Cologne? I mean, really, when Brut pulled their sponsorship, that was kind of the end of it. There was behind-the-scenes friction between Gerry Anderson and two of the stars. I don't know, of course, all the details on that stuff, and I don't worry about it too much. But it seems like maybe it was a production that wasn't going to last forever, but they did get the 2 seasons, 52 episodes. So let me know in the comments what you think of The Protectors and Gerry Anderson. I'd love to hear from you. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like, subscribe, share with a friend. If you do subscribe, hit the little notification thing so you can know when my videos are coming out. But until next time, God bless everybody. Please be kind to one another. Have a little bit of fun. Watch The Protectors, and I will see you again, hopefully soon, in Dad's Den of Pop Culture. Bye-bye.